All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about speed. I mean, incredible speed. We're seeing scientific breakthroughs happening at a pace that is just unheard of. But here's the thing about moving that fast. It creates chaos, and sometimes that chaos sends a shockwave that rattles the entire world.
So this is the central question, right? In this new age of AI, just how fast can science actually move? Well, it turns out the answer is way, way faster than pretty much anyone ever imagined.
Okay, so let's get into the first part of this story. We are truly living in a new era, an era where AI is just shattering what we thought were the absolute limits of human discovery. You know, this slide right here, it's a perfect snapshot of a revolution. Let's take materials science as an example. For like ever, finding new materials was just this slow, grinding process. We're talking decades of painful trial and error, and you were lucky if you had a 50% success rate. But now, AI has completely flipped the script. We're not talking about small improvements. We're talking exponential breakthroughs, with accuracy soaring up to 80%.
And if you want to understand the sheer scale of this, look at this number, 2.2 million. That's how many new crystal structures Google DeepMind's AI, Genome, just discovered. To give you some perspective, that's like 800 years of work, 800 years of human research done in a flash. This isn't just getting a little bit better. This is a total phase shift in how we do science.
So what does this actually mean for you and me, for the real world? Well, it's pretty staggering. We're talking about 52,000 new materials that are kind of like graphene, think next-gen electronics. We're talking about over 500 new conductors that could lead to way better batteries. And the end game here? A fully autonomous system where an AI dreams up a new material and a robot just makes it. The lab of the future? It's not the future anymore. It's here.
And look, this isn't just happening in material science. This scientific gold rush is happening everywhere. You've got one AI over here totally reimagining the fundamental building blocks of matter, and then you've got startups like Zap Energy literally trying to build a star in a box. They're creating pressures crazier than the bottom of the Mariana Trench to try and unlock clean fusion power. This is the new normal, you guys. The impossible is becoming possible. But this is where our story takes a turn. Because what happens when all this speed, all this acceleration, leads to a collision? What happens when a breakthrough doesn't just improve on what came before, but completely shatters the old way of doing things? That collision, well, its name is DeepSeek. This is the story of how a pretty small, almost unknown startup from China managed to send a massive shockwave through the entire global tech industry, and it felt like it happened overnight. So what is this thing, DeepSeek R1? Well, simply put, it's a high-performance AI model that just appeared. And it was good, like really good. Good enough to compete with the top models from giants like OpenAI. But here was the real kicker. It was open source, and it was insanely cheap to use. And this right here, this table just lays it all out. On one side, you've got the incumbents, right? The massive tech giants with, hundreds of thousands of employees working on these closed-off, really expensive models. And then on the other side, you have DeepSeek, a tiny startup with maybe 200 people. They made their model open for everyone to use, and it was up to 93% cheaper. This wasn't just a new product. It was a total paradigm shift. So as you can imagine, the reaction was immediate and intense. This wasn't just another product launch that tech bloggers get excited about. No. This was a trillion-dollar shockwave. It set off a financial panic and huge geopolitical alarm bells. Just how big was this panic? Well, in a single day, one day, after DeepSeek came out, NVIDIA, the company that is basically the foundation of this entire AI boom, lost almost $600 billion in market value. Let that sink in. It was the single biggest one-day loss for any company in American history ever. And the reactions from the competitors themselves were fascinating. You had OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, come out and say, yeah, it's an impressive model. He even said it was legit invigorating to have a new competitor. You can almost hear him saying, okay, game on. It was a clear signal that the race just got a whole lot faster and they had to speed things up. And it didn't take long for the political world to notice. Donald Trump called it a wake-up call and said American industries needed to be laser-focused on competing to win. Just like that, a piece of software wasn't just software anymore. It became a major flashpoint in the tech rivalry between the US and China. And then, of course, the security questions started popping up.
Wired magazine dug into the privacy policy, and it was pretty clear. Any data you put in, text, audio, files, you name it, was going to be stored on servers in China. For a lot of people and governments in the West, that raised some massive red flags.
When you put all this together, the financial panic, the political reaction, the security concerns, a lot of people started calling it the Sputnik moment for AI. And that's a powerful comparison, right? Just like when the Soviets launched that satellite and it shocked the US into action back in the 50s, DeepSeek's arrival kicked off a new, much more urgent phase of this global tech race.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and really try to unpack what this all means for the future. Because this moment really changed things. We are living in a new AI reality now, and the old rulebook, it's pretty much been thrown out the window.
So, after all that craziness, what are the big takeaways here? Well, there are a few key things. Number 1, powerful AI is getting cheap, fast. Number 2, open source isn't just for side projects anymore. It's a real, serious challenge to the big, closed systems. 3, the whole US-China tech competition, yeah, it just got a lot more intense. And finally, and this is a big one, it's a great reminder that a small, super-focused team can still go up against the giants and win.
But wait, what about those big security concerns we mentioned? The data going to China? Well, there's a really important counterargument to that. The venture capitalist Bill Gurley made this point: since DeepSeek is open source, you don't have to use their servers. Anyone can just grab the code and run it on their own secure machine. And that's exactly what happened. In just a few days, it had been respun or copied and modified more than 500 times. That effectively separates the incredible technology from the company that originally built it.
And this all leads to this really fascinating, kind of weird economic idea called the Jevons Paradox. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella actually brought this up. See, your gut instinct tells you that if something gets way more efficient and cheaper, we'll use less of the stuff that powers it, right? But the Jevons Paradox says the opposite is true. When AI gets 93% cheaper, we don't just use a little less computing power. No, we invent a million new things to do with that super cheap intelligence, which causes a massive explosion in demand for the hardware that runs it all.
So that leaves us with this one big, final question to think about. We're clearly heading into a world where powerful intelligence is becoming a commodity. It's becoming cheap, it's accessible, kind of like electricity. So if raw brain power, raw intelligence, isn't the bottleneck anymore, where do the next great breakthroughs come from? Where's the next genome or the next DeepSeek going to come from? What's the new bottleneck?